So, you've heard of sensory deprivation tanks where people float in warm water in silent darkness. And people do this because of the dreamlike hallucinations and the unique state of mind that they go into while inside the tank. Now, there are many reasons for doing this. It helps people unwind and relax. It can bring about a state of reverie and uninhibited creativity. It can be therapeutic, and for some, it's a transcendent experience, sometimes used as a way to connect with one's spirituality. But the problem is these flotation tanks are very expensive, $10,000 to $20,000, not including installation. So it's not very practical to have them installed in your home. The good news, though, is that you don't need these tanks in order to enter these incredible states of consciousness. Today, I'll explain why sleep, dreams, and lucid dreaming are a much better, more profound alternative to sensory deprivation tanks, not to mention accessible every night and absolutely free. So first, why do sensory deprivation tanks cause hallucinations? How do they work? So most of our conscious experience comes from sensory input. What you see, hear, feel, smell, and taste shapes the majority of your conscious experience. But it's not just about sense perception. See, overlaid onto these sensory experiences are thoughts, feelings, memories, and imagination. For example, you might smell something that reminds you of an experience from childhood, and you're sort of mentally teleported back to that moment. Or you might hear a sound that sparks fear or joy. The examples are endless, but the point is, this happens all the time. It's like a non-stop stream of information processing. Now, when it comes to thinking, we typically think in the form of language or imagery, or both, right? Like the voice in our head is thinking in language, but we can also think in images, imagining or picturing images. So the point is, our conscious experience is not just sensory perception of the outside world. It is that, plus our opinions and our reactions to the stimulus from the outside world. And so when we turn down the volume on the sensory input, what do you think happens to that other part of the mind? Let's call it the dreaming mind, just for simplicity here, because remember, we dream when we're awake too. We daydream all the time without even realizing it, especially when we're not required to use our senses and perceive the world around us. When we're not navigating anywhere, when we're not engaged in conversation with someone, when we're not doing anything. If we're just in a quiet room by ourselves, the dreaming mind has a little more wiggle room in the conscious space. The imagery system or the imagination automatically fills in the gaps. Thoughts start flowing in and becoming more salient. And again, they might be words, they might be images. If we're sitting still or floating in a tank full of warm water, and the water temperature matches our body temperature, then we barely even perceive the water. We don't even perceive gravity anymore. We feel weightless, almost motionless, just floating, quiet, nothing to hear, nothing to see, nothing to smell or taste or feel. And this sensory deprivation, eliminating the stimulus or the sensory input, this allows the daydreaming mind to come alive and start to take over. And the images and the thoughts become more detailed, more vivid, brighter, clearer, more like a dream when we're sleeping. And people can have wildly intense, dreamlike psychedelic experiences in the sensory deprivation tank, because the mind is not engaged with sensing the outside world, yet the mind is still very active. So you can buy one of these incredible noise-canceling, light-blocking, perfectly temperature-regulated sensory deprivation tanks for the low cost of about $20,000. Or what if you don't need to spend any money at all? That there's an even more powerful sensory deprivation method that can get you into a fully immersive, multisensory, virtual reality simulation. And you can access it every day of your life for free. All you have to do is learn lucid dreaming. When we go to bed, we essentially close off all sensory input anyway. The room is dark and quiet, so you've already taken out vision and hearing. Your body is laying down horizontally, and your body weight is evenly distributed under a warm and breathable blanket, so your body temperature is regulated. And when all the sensory input is reduced, again, the dreaming mind just takes the wheel. The thing is, usually when we sleep and dream, we lose our conscious awareness. But we can either reactivate this awareness and wake up again within the dream, or maintain attention and focus and awareness as we transition into the dream state. Either way, the result is that we're lucid or aware during the dream state of consciousness. The body is asleep, the mind is awake. And when we're in a lucid dream, we're fully in a different realm. All of the sensory perception of the outside world feels like a distant memory or a distant concept. It feels like we're actually in another dimension. It seems like a real place because in the lucid dream state, your sensory perception is actually reactivated. You can actually feel stimuli from within the dream world. You can feel the warmth of the sunlight on your skin. You can see in vivid and clear detail. And some people say in their lucid dreams they can see with more clarity than they can while awake. You can hear music and you can talk to people and hear their voices. And you can touch them and physically feel intense sensations in your body. All of this is available every night for free in your dreams. And you're dreaming anyway. All you have to do is learn how to become aware during your dreams. So, sensory deprivation tanks are really cool, but they're extremely expensive. And they're just not practical unless you can afford to have one installed in your house. So, by practicing lucid dreaming, you can access your subconscious mind and explore the truly limitless possibilities, whether for relaxation, creativity, personal growth, or simply experiencing the thrill of a dream world that feels as real as waking life. So skip the tank and learn lucid dreaming.